Good evening, countrymen and women. Welcome to Election Update. What's latest in the news? As usual, PF has continued their monkey tricks, and this time they have taken their monkey tricks, their election monkey tricks, to election observers. As you know, the period that we are in is a period of elections. We only have 12 days left before Zambia goes to the polls to remove the dictator Edgar Lungu out of State House and from power. But the challenge is, the people who are supposed to be our eyes and ears in the polling station to protect our vote and ensure to say that your vote as a Zambian voter is protected and not stolen by these thugs in PF. The challenge we have is that these people are stranded. They are stranded at Lusaka Civic Center. From Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Lusaka Civic Center it's been like a refugee center. Because it's so congested, it's so full of people that you'd wonder what is happening if you're just passing. It reminds me of those days when we were lining up throughout the day from 05 up to 21 hours just to wait for a voter's card. That mayhem, that congestion, and that unnecessary crowding is a deliberate ploy by the Patriotic Front to frustrate our observers, to frustrate our polling agents, so that they will say, okay, this process is too long, I can't manage, I'm going home. And in fact, starting Wednesday, starting from yesterday and today, there have been thousands of people thronging the Lusaka Civic Center when there are only 3 registration kits. So how are 3 registration kits going to manage to handle over 5,000 people who are ready to register and are willing to register and have got all the documentations to register as polling observers, as the polling monitors, and polling staff from ECZ? And the shocking thing is that even polling staff, those people who are directly employed on contract by ECZ to help in the management of elections, even them, they are being sent to Civic Center to go and endure those long lines, very long lines, discouraging lines, frustrating lines. PF will never stop at putting in bottlenecks, putting in requirements, and creating an artificial atmosphere of congestion and chaos, so that the UPND and the opposition in general cannot have observers and polling agents in those stations. This is a very crucial process. Remember, elections is a process. Elections is not just on the day when you vote. Even rigging is not just on the day that you vote. The election is a process. From the time of voter registration, voter verification, issuing out of NRCs to those that have become of age who are turning 18, to the point where people file in for nominations, to the point where payments are made, ballots are printed, and all those inspections and declarations are made, to the point of voter education, to the point of education of polling staff, provision of logistics to ensure to say that the process is done on time. It's a long process. And in all those processes, A up to Z, PF has been ensuring to say that they cause chaos. How do they cause this chaos? They cause this chaos by deliberately underfunding and understaffing important processes such as those of the registration of polling observers and monitors. The conditions which they wanted, that of NGOs having been registered 3 years ago and being active in governance space, those have been met. But if you were at Civic Center today, you would have cried. I was there from morning. I was there at Civic Center as early as 05. And I left at 19:30 when they had already closed. And people who had been there from 05 up to 17 hours still have not been accredited as observers. And some are coming from far away as Kafue, Chilanga, spending their transport money, spending their talk time, sitting the whole day hungry because of PF. Now, this complaint could have been made if at all the process was fair and equitable. What do I mean? If this process was affecting all political parties, there would have been no complaint. But guess what? There at Civic Center, the only party which was there, the only parties I saw was UPND and these other small parties. There was no PF at Civic Center. See, PF were not at Civic Center. So where? The question is, where were the agents and observers and monitors for PF? Where are they registering from? That is the question. Where are the PF agents and monitors registering from if they were not there at Civic Center? Because we know these people, how arrogant they are. But they will say, oh, we are the government. We are the government. We can't be lining up. We are the government. That's what they will say. They are very arrogant. So these arrogant cadres, hoodlums, were nowhere inside at Civic Center. So this tells me, and this tells you, and we know, we all know this, that the PF have got a different printing machine for accrediting their observers and polling staff at their secretariat. Very likely. Maybe at State House, I don't know. Maybe it is even a simple branch chairman in the PF has got the machine in their home accrediting observers. Yeah? This is not far-fetched. A simple branch chairman in the PF can have that machine, my 2 kits here. Because those 2 kits were there were thousands of those 2 kits which were being used to register voters all over the country. So where are all those thousands of 2 kits? Such that Nakatindi Hall, here in the capital city, Zambia, where you've got the majority of voters, the majority of observers and monitors, how can you only have 3 kits doing the registration process? This is an attempt at rigging the elections. Remember, I've told you that elections is a process. It's not just one-off event on the day of polling, no, or the day of voting. So this is an attempt to rig a process. Which process? The process of accrediting monitors and observers who are an integral stakeholders. They are integral stakeholders to the voting process, because these are the people who ensure that the voting procedure is followed to the letter, that your vote is protected to the letter, that the presiding officers and the returning officers do not exceed their power and do what they want. Because in this election, we can't trust anyone. We can't trust ECZ. We can't trust any single ECZ official. We can't trust any presiding officer. We can't preside any returning officer. We want our people to be inside those polling stations. We want our people to observe, to monitor, and to intervene in the voting process where it is necessary. Because we have known and we have experienced that ECZ is a toothless organization. ECZ is a toothless bulldog which only bites when the PF says bite. So we can't trust the ECZ to handle to handle any voting process for us. We want to be there with our own ears and eyes to see how the votes are being cast. But this process is being frustrated. And look at this. We are in an advent or a time where the government, the PF government, is always singing about COVID, always singing about COVID. Oh, COVID this, COVID that, avoid crowding, follow the 5 golden rules, sanitize, social distance. Was there any social distancing at Nakatindi Hall today at Civic Center? Was there any sanitizing? Was there any bucket and soap, cheap soap and bucket which was provided by the council? Because they are underfunded, because cadres always steal the money that they make and put in their pockets. There was no social distancing there. There was no sanitizing there. There wasn't even masking because it was hot today in Lusaka. You put people together, you're talking about COVID. Donors are spending millions of dollars giving you free vaccines. Then you go and crowd people. You go and crowd the opposition at Civic Center. And you're the same people who are asking polling staff to bring COVID certificates. Are you being serious? This is what happens when a country is being led by dunderheads, by thugs, by criminals. At every point they want to steal money. And when I say they want to steal money, they are stealing money. They are stealing money from desperate people there who are trying to be registered as observers and monitors. How is this happening? Because of congestion. Anywhere where you're going to find congestion, in any institution, if you find congestion, people are lining up and are causing congestion because of they want to get a service, you're going to find corruption there. And corruption was there at Nakatindi Hall. And I can tell you, if you're a monitor or you're an observer, listen to me. If you want to get your accreditation card very quickly, just pay a 20 kwacha. Talk to the security guard or some fellows who are around there hovering. They will tell you to say, if you ngamulefa fiende wangu, if you ngati mufuna vintu viende fast, lipirani ma 20 kwacha ngati muli 5 or 10, put 20 kwachas together and give us a 200 kwacha. Then you slip in your names and NRC numbers secretly to the same people who are using those, who are registering you. You give them a 200 and you have your accreditation card within a few hours or minutes. Corruption. Eh? Procurement of drugs, corruption. You procure rotten condoms and rotten drugs. Procurement of fire tenders, corruption. We are now not being told by the European Union to say that the Zambian government is trading in illegal arms. You are trading in illegal guns. Who are you supplying? Boko Haram? Is the government of Zambia now become a gun trader? Who in the government of Zambia is a gun trader, such that ships bearing a Zambian flag are being caught in the European waters? You have become gunslingers, gun traders, supplying Boko Haram, terrorist organizations, supplying Al-Shabaab. The problem with when corruption becomes endemic, and so even the registration of observers and monitors and even polling assistance from ECZ, 20 kwacha. You want 20 kwachas. Out of the thousands, 10,000 monitors who applied to become monitors here in Lusaka, how much are these criminals going to make? Multiply 20 kwacha by 10,000. And there are only 3 guys getting that money. Was this a scheme to milk the Zambians out of the little money that they have? Even by my elections, you are milking people getting their 20 kwachas. Some you're even charging them 50 kwachas. The corruption that is in PF is nauseating. And we are saying to ECZ, can you go, Patrick Nshindano, Patricia Luhanga, can you go to Nakatindi Hall tomorrow morning and see the congestion which is there and tell the Zambian people if that congestion is necessary? Where are all those toolkits which were donated to you for you to run an election smoothly? Can you increase the number of toolkits from 3 to 30 so that within 1 or 2 days, all those polling observers and people who want to be agents are cleared? They go and concentrate on other things like finishing up their campaigns and trainings. Because those people, instead of being trained, instead of them being training others, preparing for the day of elections, preparing logistics, they are there spending their mornings and afternoons and evenings sitting on the grass at the council, waiting to be registered as monitors. This has never happened. You should have planned for this, but what you planned for was to rig this process of registering observers and monitors, to squeeze them, to congest that place so that you make money. Very sad state of affairs. So Shindano and Patricia Luhanga, can you go to Civic Center tomorrow and sort out that mess which you have caused? People don't have the time to be spending the whole day at the Civic Center for what? Just to exercise their right to be monitors, as if you are the ones who are paying them. Sort the issue of observers and monitors, registration of observers and monitors out. Increase the number of toolkits and stop that corruption of getting 20 kwachas and 50 kwachas from the youth who spent their whole day there. Where is the PF? Can you also answer that question? Where are the PF agents and monitors? Where are they registering from? Because we didn't see FMA green overalls, the FMA green t-shirt. We didn't see anybody. And I know PF thugs, they are proud of their party. Anywhere they go down to church, na chitenge cha green mumukosha. Mukulembesha verifying ECZ ku Woodlands kuja na chitenge cha green mumukosha, ni sapato ya green. Pointed shoe. Green pointed shoe. Chitenge shoe. Ya PF. I didn't see any of them that side. So which tells me that those thugs and those cadres, those dunderheads, there is somewhere from Kweteka office, like a secret hideout, where you are registering your own people. That should come to an end. So that's what I had on election update. This is very important because if we don't have enough monitors and observers in those polling stations, we are going to be outnumbered by PF thugs. Because I can tell you for a fact that the presiding officers, the returning officers, if they are not independent, then they are PF stooges. We have that intelligence. We know that the majority of presiding officers and returning officers are compromised. They are compromised. So If we can't trust them, we can only trust our people. And to have our people in there, they must go through this process. So if you're watching from any other province, any other district, please share your experiences. We want to know if this is just in Lusaka, where we have the majority of voters, or it's also happening in Kitwe, in Ndola, in Mwense, in Petauke, in Chingola, in Lincoln, or wherever. Let us share this information. And please continue to share this post so that other people can know, to say that the crisis we have right now is that PF is trying to block our observers and our monitors from registering as observers by causing congestion, by understaffing the registration process with only 3 kits. So thank you very much for tuning in. That's all that I had for you today. A luta continua, the struggle continues. Remember to vote for HH. Remember to vote for UPND, because you want to vote for change. You need change. We all want change. Don't lose sight of what we are struggling for. It's a better life for everyone. Better education, better healthcare, better business opportunities, and more jobs for the youths. And an end to Kadarism. We don't want Kadarism in stations, in the markets, in our compounds. We don't want that. We want an end to Kadarism. We want a peace and normalcy to reign in this country. Thank you very much, and good night.